Now welcome to another lightning response video where I really wanted to do a thunderous ramble video today where I answered a ton of questions, but I don't think I'm going to have time for that many. But I will get to a few, starting with this one from Bug Rib, who asked, "Hey Thor, don't you think Andor and Rogue One also heavily recontextualized Lucas Star Wars? They've shown us moral gray areas that were simply not present in the originals, and also completely recontextualized Luke's achievement in A New Hope by making it so the Death Star was actually designed in a way to make it possible for Luke to destroy it. Granted, the Clone Wars series did show some moral gray, but that was pre-Empire and Rebel Alliance. Why does this not seem to bother you the way The Acolyte has, keeping in mind that its story is not even complete yet, and most or all of its supposed lore breaking is likely, in my humble opinion, to be explained by the end? Thanks, keep up the great work." And first of all here, I don't think Rogue One and Andor recontextualize Lucas Star Wars. I think they explore pretty much the same thing with a more nuanced approach. Because let's just use Andor, but in Andor, the Empire are still the bad guys. They are not presented in any kind of morally gray way, are they? They are oppressive. They are pretty much the epitome of evil in that show. There is no redeeming qualities. It's not like they're trying to show us, oh, actually the Empire does some good things. They're not as bad as people think. No, they are portrayed as pretty much just terrible, arguably worse than we've ever seen them portrayed before. And so the question then becomes, if you are kind of the average everyday person in the galaxy trying to survive this empire, trying to live under this oppressive regime, what are you willing to do to stop it, or what do you have to do to stop it? And when you take up this fight against an evil that has no moral compass whatsoever, that will do whatever they have to do to hold on to that power, how do you fight that? What will you become in an attempt to fight it? Or what line are you willing to cross to stop it? I think these are arguably some of the questions Luke Skywalker had to ask himself in Return of the Jedi when Obi-Wan is telling him, you got to go face your father again. And he's like, dude, I can't kill my own father. So I think I think there's some very interesting similarities here that are far more nuanced. Furthermore, as I was basically just saying, there are no redeeming qualities to the Empire shown. We're not trying to make the argument there is some good there, or that there is actually a need for the Empire, or that they are justified in existing. And that's what I fear the Acolyte is doing. It's taking the side of the Sith and saying, you know what, they're not actually all that bad. That they exist because the Jedi are too oppressive. They're trying to kind of flip the script, right? They're trying to say that the bad guys have a justification for existing because of how oppressive the good guys are. That is my issue with the Acolyte. It is flipping the ideas of Lucas on its head. The problem is it feels like an opposite to everything Lucas was saying. This show seems to be saying that, well, the Sith are just misunderstood, or that there needs to be some kind of balance between evil and good. While Andor is saying, well, gee, evil is so bad that we don't even know how to handle it. We have to almost become evil to stop evil. I mean, it's not saying the same thing. These are not two shows that explore the same type of moral ambiguity. One is saying evil is so bad that we don't even know how to stop it because it is so bad. The other seems to be making an argument that, well, evil isn't that bad, it needs to be understood. It has its own justifications. And so basically that's my issue with the Acolyte thus far. Now, in the end, as you point out, it's not over yet. Maybe it will make a different point. But I fear this is the point it is going to try and make. And if it does, that is not Star Wars. Alright, and now let's move on from that and get to this question from Joe Volgamar, author, who asked, "Hey Thor, quick question. Do you think fans see canon in the same way as archaeologists see history? Example, modern science thought that Sumeria was the first real human civilization and nothing could be older, and it was thought this to be true for thousands of years. Concrete canon, if you will. Then someone discovers a city 5,000 years older than that, and it's fought against tooth and nail, knock down, drag out to refute it simply because it's not the way people thought. We as fans don't get to decide canon any more than we as people get to decide history when we are forced to accept a new truth. Is it really good to spend the energy debating it with such vitriol? I'm an OT OG and I like Acolyte. It's better than Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, and the sequels. I think the fighting is stupid." And first of all, no, the fans do not get to decide what is official Lucasfilm canon and what isn't. They get to decide what is in their head canon. But when it comes to the official canon, that is up to them to decide. It is not written in stone like actual history. They are writing it as they go. They are making it up as they go. I joked about that in the video the other day, that every time you see an article or video titled Star Wars Just Revealed, they're not revealing anything. Somebody just made it up, and that's now the truth as far as the Star Wars canon is concerned. There is no other galaxy to explore and find the history of. There is no vault at Lucasfilm that has ancient textbooks in it that tell us what the actual history of that galaxy was. Again, it is all being made up as they go. And though I totally get your analogy, and I even kind of made a similar analogy saying that, yes, there are fans who like to treat it as a history, but my problem is, or the problem I brought up in the video kind of discussing all this, is that sometimes when you change the facts of the canon, you change the meaning of the story. And for me, the story, what it is trying to say, the lesson it is trying to teach us, is more important than any kind of historical data we uncover. For me, the line that Ki-Adi-Mundi says in The Phantom Menace, that the Sith have been extinct for a millennium, says that we have a Jedi Order that has not been challenged by a true dark side threat in 1,000 years, and thus has become complacent. And because they are complacent, they are no longer vigilant. They are no longer on the lookout for evil, and that is how evil gets back in. Evil succeeds when good fails, and in the prequels, good fails because they thought they had defeated evil, they thought it was gone, and they were dead wrong. Now in the Acolyte, we are seeing that, well, actually there were signs of evil out there. There were Sith operating not in the shadows and plotting and planning, but out in the open. They were killing Jedi, literally killing a half dozen Jedi, and 100 years later, they're just like, yeah, we kind of forgot all about that, or maybe the history is that they didn't actually get discovered, that all the Jedi died and there was some kind of big cover-up. It changes what the story is trying to tell us, is my whole problem. What I care about is the story of Star Wars, its integrity, and for me, the integrity of it seems like it may be changed in The Acolyte, and that is not something I like. It is also something I am willing to argue about. It is something I am willing to fight about, to a degree, not like physical violence, but if you want to have a civilized discussion on YouTube or in the comments or wherever it might be, I will have that discussion. In other words, to wrap it up, the story of Star Wars means something to me, and I'm willing to fight for it. Plain and simple. Alright, and let's do one more question here, and it comes to us from user YP9TT1QJ6F. I'm going to guess they just went with the default username. And that question is, hey Thor, you say the show recontextualized the prequel trilogy and gives me meaning, but you don't have to let this one TV show change every other bit of Star Wars media for you. I agree that the story is not great, but I can enjoy parts of it because it doesn't ruin anything for me. Just like the Legend stuff ending, it's still there, I can still read and enjoy the books. Anyway, I view it as the line in the show is wrong, and it doesn't change the prequels at all. And it doesn't change how I feel about the prequels either, or how I feel about any part of Star Wars, really. I can completely compartmentalize this show. I can put it in a little box and tuck it into the back corner of my mind and forget it's even there. That I can do. That I'm probably, for the most part, going to do. The reason why I'm here, the reason why I discuss this, the reason why I'm willing to fight is for the integrity of Star Wars itself. Because I think Star Wars has value. I think it has value to our culture, to our world. I think there are important life lessons to be had in Star Wars for younger viewers and older ones alike. I think it offers us ideals to strive towards and others to strive away from. I think we're supposed to look at the Jedi way and say, if I kind of try to be more like that, I'm going to be a better person and the world is going to be a better place. While we are also supposed to look at the Sith, the selfishness of the Sith, and say, if I'm a little less like that, if I'm a little less selfish, maybe, again, the world will be a better place. That, at the core, is what Star Wars is all about to me. It is about rejecting evil and embracing good. It is about being a better person instead of a worse person. So when Star Wars, in a show like The Acolyte, is potentially mixing up that message for whatever reason, either intentionally or not intentionally because they just don't understand Star Wars, I am going to fight for it. I am going to tell people that this is not what Star Wars really stands for, that if you want to understand Star Wars, you should go watch the original trilogy, or the prequels even. That is Star Wars. Star Wars is trying to convey a message. It is not a history. You can look at it that way, you can enjoy it that way, but originally it was about life lessons for younger people that also happened to appeal to older people as well, because go figure, we can all stand to learn a thing or two about life and how to live it better. But anyway, I'm just rambling here, but that is how I feel. That is truly how I feel. I am here to fight for the integrity of Star Wars. I don't want to see it change to fit the modern world or someone else's view. I think Star Wars is something that is good, something that we should show to future generations because those lessons still apply in the world today. It doesn't need to be changed. We don't need to look at evil and go, well, maybe evil isn't so bad after all. No, evil is bad. It should be avoided. We should strive to be good. That is what Star Wars tries to tell us, and that is what I'm here to tell people who don't seem to get it from modern Star Wars. Well, that is all I got for you this time. Now it is your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell me what you think about any and all of my ramblings in this video. And let's talk some Star Wars. And so, until next time, until tonight when I review the next episode of The Acolyte, thanks for watching.